Ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to say thank you, first of all, for all of the people who have followed me. We have gained over 300,000 views on all platforms, which I think is absolutely insane. I've grossed over 600 followers on TikTok, which is insane. I've gotten a few hundred on Instagram. The views are doing well on the YouTube Shorts, everything like that. It's just been pretty crazy few days. So I would just like to please advise for y'all to keep on following because that would be great, and it really helps the channels and really helps me get myself out there. But I want to talk about Marvel Zombies today because I think that this show is just, well, first of all, so unbelievably good. Marvel Zombies, if I were to give it a score out of 10, would be probably an 8 out of 10. You can even convince me of a 9. This show is a slow burn. It starts out very slow and then we eventually ramp up, right? It's only 4 episodes. It sort of plays out as a movie, which makes sense considering that, everyone over there at Marvel Studios came out and said that the reason as to why they made it a show was so that they could use Spider-Man, because obviously, you know, Sony owns the rights to the movie side of Spider-Man, right? So they would have to work out a whole deal with Sony, and obviously they're not going to want to do that. So Marvel owns the television rights to Spider-Man, so that they were able to make it work in Marvel Zombies. And it's just great. It's just great. It's awesome. The action in this show, by the way, is actually like unbelievable, and it's incredibly gruesome. By the way, this is Marvel Studios, Marvel Animation's first TV mature series, and it shows. And they really make use of it because there's just so much blood and gore and nasty and all that, but it works and it's great and it's amazing. Sometimes you're wanting to look away, but you're also wanting to look because it's just amazing, especially with scenes with Blade. Spoiler alert, but with that freaking fight scene with Blade and Ghost, oh my gosh. First of all, amazing fight choreography. Secondly, it is an absolute shame that we have not gotten Oscar winner Mahershala Ali as Blade yet in live action. I need Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige to sort that movie out, because if we don't get it within the next few years, I might genuinely, like, we might be having to walk up to the Disney lot and at Marvel Studios to get that fixed. But besides that, I mean, the show is just absolutely great. The main character is Iman Vellani is Miss Marvel, and she does a great job, and I'm so glad that she's finally getting a project within the MCU that's actually being well received. Obviously, Miss Marvel and the Marvels were both kind of meh among audiences. Some people liked it, some people didn't. I personally enjoyed both projects. I thought Miss Marvel could have been a lot better, though, and we're saying a lot, and especially the Marvels too. But I found the Marvels actually be freaking hilarious. So I'm glad that that she's finally getting the spotlight that she deserves. Um, Everyone pretty much comes back for this. Elizabeth Olsen comes back for this, which is pretty funny because she doesn't even remember recording the show. She just literally came out and said it at LA Comic Con, saying that she thinks that she recorded it during the pandemic, but she does not remember, has no memory, which just basically shows her relationship with Marvel at the moment. Doesn't really care, especially after her experience on Multiverse of Madness and that whole madness, quote intended, pun intended. Uh, and then, freaking, what's his name? What's his face? John Walker. Wyatt Russell returns as John Walker, as Zemo's right hand man. I don't think Daniel Bruhl returns as Zemo, though. I'm not 100% sure on that. Obviously, Hudson Thames returns as Spider Man, aka Peter Parker, because for whatever reason, Sony just likes to be very mean whenever it comes to Tom Holland being in other MCU projects besides his own movies. It's incredibly annoying, and the only thing that they really let him do is Avengers movies, and that's it. So, if anyone's really hoping for Spider-Man to appear in Daredevil Born Again Season 2, most likely not going to happen, right? And then, we got Elizabeth Olsen, freaking, Iman Vellani, Dominic. I'm not even going to try and pronounce her name because I'm literally forgetting it. But she returns as Ironheart, Riri Williams. And Haley Steinfeld returns as Kate Bishop. David Harbour, Red Guardian. It's just great. It's just great. The show's great. Everything about it is great. Um, One thing I do want to talk about though is Namor and how freaking powerful he is, because we haven't even seen him that powerful really in the movies. I mean, he gets beat by Shuri only, but that's it. Like, he's freaking up the Wakandans in Wakanda Forever, right? And it's just crazy how strong the man actually is, and it's just cool. It's so cool. The show's cool. Everything about it is cool. Um, and yeah, I don't think Huerta returns as Namor. I don't think he actually says any lines, which I think is interesting. And he's able to, by the way, break out of the Hulk cell that's at the raft, which is crazy. And he does it fairly quickly as well. So that just goes to show you how strong he actually is. And I'm interested to see how his power scale is in Doomsday. Um, Speaking of Doomsday, so I don't really know what happened there. All I know is that a doorbell rang, my doorbell rang, but when I go to look outside, no one's there. So, little paranoid now, but we're gonna continue on with the review. And if I suddenly get attacked, it'll be on camera. By the way, I'm gonna sort of interject this here into the video real quick. I totally forgot to talk about Black Panther and Thanos. Uh, so this is a future me. But the way that they send off T'Challa and that whole sequence, it's just great. And I love the fact that T'Challa actually doesn't speak, but he still makes the heroic sacrifice. And when Spider-Man says, he said Wakanda Forever as if it was the last time he was ever going to say it, it got me right to my, like, right here, because you can imagine how Chadwick would say it. And it's just, it's a great way to send off the character. And that whole sequence with Thanos, by the way, is so great. I like how he's able to sort of like learn how to use the stones. I mean, that whole sequence was just amazing. And you get callbacks to Infinity War, like Thanos arriving on Earth for a second time. Like, that was epic. And obviously he gets his ass handed to him a few seconds later, but the aura moment was still there, and it was still great. R.I.P. my boy Rocket. But, as I was saying, it was just, the whole sequence is spectacular. And, we're getting the callback to when Spidey's sort of whipping, Thanos up, and he's sort of crawling all over him with the webs and everything, and it's literally just great. They did such a great job with that entire sequences. And I wonder if Ludwig Göransson actually helped, Lara Cartman score that portion of the episode, because we obviously get callbacks to, T'Challa's theme, and we're hearing Wakandan instruments. So that would be kind of interesting to see. But obviously, Lara Cartman can do whatever the heck she wants. She's great. But I'm just wondering if maybe Ludwig helped a little bit. But anyway, let's get back to the video. Anyways, I was talking about how Namor was able to fairly easily escape out of that Hulk cell at the raft. Which is just crazy, by the way, because that's literally built for the Hulk. And we're going to really get into spoilers now, so if you want to click away, you can. They use Hulk so incredibly well. We basically learned that he's basically this anchor being, like Loki, right? Basically holding together all of this gamma radiation from the stones and everything, and he's just absorbing it, and he's just there. And Bruce Banner and Hulk aren't really there anymore. Like, they're not really working together. It's just him, and he's just doing what he's been told to do, right? And it's so good, and they utilize him so well. And he, by the way, he's like, killing thousands of zombies with, just a single clap. He is sending thousands of them back. Like, it's crazy. And he's also freaking handling the Ant-Man giants and etc. Like, it's wild. It's actually kind of insane. So I mean, everything in the show is just so good. I mean, Brian Andrews really did a great job. And I think I want to get into other spoilery territory, which is um, the ending. I mean, what an ending, right? I mean, absolutely crazy. You think with all these Marvel shows, right, they're going to end happily ever after, and then we get probably one of the craziest MCU plot twists that we've ever seen ever. Like, and I love the idea of Wanda once again creating another alternative reality where she wins. Like, I just think that's a great sort of theme that we have going in the MCU. Obviously, it wasn't really well executed in Multiverse of Madness, but it was really well executed here in Zombies, which is great. Another thing I really like about the show is the fact that they utilize so many of the past storylines that we've gotten in Phase 4, 5, and 6. Like, I love that callback, right? And I didn't actually really pick up on this until I was watching the Escape Pod podcast review. But Alex mentions how, Yelena's mom is being able to control the zombies with the same tech that she's able to control the pigs with in Black Widow. And I think that is so smart because zombies and brains, they basically have the same level of intelligence. So it makes sense as to why she would be able to control them. And it makes it just makes sense. It makes sense. And I think it's just one of the coolest little Easter eggs ever. Shang-Chi's in this, by the way. Shout outs to Simu Liu. He's been waiting on that Shang-Chi sequel for a while now, and if I'm being real honest with you, I don't know where the heck we're going after Doomsday, so, we're gonna see what happens to his character, but it was really cool to see him here. And Awkwafina. But, a lot of people hate Awkwafina. I think, she's fine. She can be annoying, but also, her annoyance is just also kind of funny at times to me. I don't know why. Because if it were like any other person, and it would probably annoy the crap out of me. But that's just who she is, and that's just the type of characters that she usually plays. So, I don't have a big problem with it. And Simu Liu obviously does a great job. Wenwu's death kind of shocked me, by the way. He sort of just gives up. He doesn't really try. He's like, here, take the rings, and like, that's it. Like, he could have perfectly fine ran onto that helicopter, by the way, but he just chose to make the heroic sacrifice for no absolute reason. Katie having 5 rings was also interesting. Don't know why that was a choice, but it was a choice, and you know what? I thought it was kind of cool. So, seeing her and Sean work together were, it was kind of nice. But again, they're just making all the storylines sort of intertwined and make it make sense. I want to talk about also Icarus and freaking Captain Marvel. What a fight! And it makes sense that Icarus is like trying to make sure that there are enough humans alive on Earth to, keep the Celestial mission alive. And obviously he's going to be going for the strongest one, Captain Marvel. And they're just constantly butting heads. And they just have no regard for public safety at all. I mean, they are destroying everything in their path. And it was kind of cool to see, in Eternal again. We haven't seen the Eternals team in 5 years, which is kind of crazy to say. 2021, obviously that movie didn't do great, which Kumail Nanjiani has been very public on and his feelings about that. But, seeing Icarus was cool. It was fun. And I like how you're able to sort of see his inner organic, non-organic body, his robotics, per se. And, obviously he can't really be affected by the zombie stuff because, well, he's not really human. But it was still kind of cool to see that all happening and them sort of making it work. And yeah, I mean, it's just the show is great. Everything's great. I'm going to cap it off by saying, go watch it. If you have been struggling on getting back into the MCU lately, I think this is the show to do it. I think Marvel's past four projects are the ones to do it. Really, I mean, Born Again, which it's good, definitely not better than the original show, but good. Um, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Brave New World, even though it's not particularly as good as the other projects that I've mentioned. Everything has just been great this year. Obviously, you guys know my feelings towards DC and the situation that they're in right now, so I don't think that's as big as a win as everyone else is saying. But Superman was still a good movie. It wasn't great in my opinion, but it was good. I haven't been watching Peacemaker. Didn't watch Creature Commands, but hey, that's just my preference. I, uh, again, I'm not gonna get into this on here, but you all know my feelings on James Gunn and his work at DC. So, but hey, it's just been a great year for Superman, superhero media in general. And yeah, I shall catch you all in the next video. The shows an 8, 9 out of 10. And yeah, I shall catch you all in the next video. Take care and peace.